today are Bostonians, fellow Bostonians, Bill and Bo Winiker. Hello.
Hello.
Uh, great. You guys have great smiles.
Oh, well, we inherited that from our mother and our father.
Well, it works good, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It doesn't cost any extra to smile.
Yeah, you have a great smile too.
You sure do. And I love, you found your match today. My brother and you will laugh hysterically for a good part of the interview. And that's a great quality too.
Yeah, you have a great sense of humor. You laugh a lot, and that brings people just want to be around people like that.
Yeah.
Who wants to be with a sourpuss?
Exactly. Sometimes I think I don't know about you, but sometimes I think I'm a little over the top, But
I'd rather be that way than underneath.
Well, if you're over the top, you're the Coliseum.
That's right. You're on the top. David Rosen says hi.
Oh, hi, David.
Nice.
Yeah, there's people joining, but also they're probably people that you know too. Gary Bywater, Patrick Barnett. Do those names sound familiar?
No,
those don't. They could be fans of yours, and you don't know it.
Cool.
I'm looking for Roland.
Yeah, he'll be along. He usually comes on. Sometimes he comes on early, but yeah, Roland's funny. How about Taylor?
Yeah, Taylor asks great questions.
I know, man. He is so smart. God,
I know.
what a smart guy. I've stolen some of his questions actually. Put them on my question list if I have, if I get stuck.
So there's one thing I want to say, and that to start the show is that we have something in common. The three of us, we were all within a mile of each other, or a half a mile of each other, at the same time. When you were at Berkeley, Bo was at New England Conservatory, and I was at Boston Conservatory. We're all there at the same time.
Wow.
I could have run into you at Mike's drugstore on the corner. They had a counter where you could have lunch. I used to meet a lot of teachers there and go have lunch. I also spent, I went to Boston Conservatory, but I spent half my time walking over to Berkeley and just sitting on the floor and observing ensembles and classes. And one time I went into an ensemble that was run by Nate Haglund. He was Thelonious Monk's bass player. And he said, "We don't have a bass. What do you play?" It was a quartet rehearsal. He had a small group. I said, "Well, yeah, I play bass. I owned a bass, which I had in my apartment. My mother was the bass player. But I learned to play bass at home because when we rehearsed 3 or 4 hours a night with my dad, which we'll talk about later, I'd still keep playing with my father into the wee small hours of the morning, and I'd play bass. So I learned to play bass.
Yeah.
And
what did your dad play?
Piano.
Oh, okay.
He was a great pianist, really great jazz pianist, terrific improviser. The thing about him was, though, this is what I love about my father, and I get off the track, but my father played with Charlie Barnett, who was a disciple of Duke Ellington. He went to the University of Alabama and played in he was drafted. They were looking for a piano player. They searched the nation to find recruits. In those days, in the 1939, they had a contest for all the college big bands. They all had a big band, like a swing band.
Yeah.
And the judges would be people like Woody Herman and Count Basie and Duke Ellington. And whoever won the contest, it was a national contest, would get a 3-month gig for the summer at the Hollywood Beach Hotel in Florida.
Wow.
And the University of Alabama won every year because the guys would stay and get a second degree and a third degree. They would never leave.
Oh.
But when they did leave, they would scour the country to find somebody good on tenor sax or piano or bass, whatever they needed. So they found my father in Millis, Massachusetts. And I mean, who would ever think he would go to the University of Alabama? But he was pre-med, and that he went there, and the thing that my point here is that even though he was a big band swing musician and really great at it, he could play like Teddy Wilson and Fats Waller and, all those great pianists back then.
Yeah.
But when he got home, he kept listening and listening. And eventually he was playing like Bill Evans and McCoy Tyner and Herbie
Oh, wow.
Hancock. He always progressed ahead. So he did the same with us. He taught us how to play swing and all the old jazz
Yeah.
and bebop, but he also had us listening to Freddie Hubbard and Lee Morgan, and Benny Maupin's my favorite, just like you love Benny Maupin.
Oh,
He's on my Lee Morgan records.
yeah.
So my father was hip. He always changed and got modern on the piano. His chord changes got hip,
Wow.
and so he did that to us. We started learning the old style, and he kept pushing us forward. And so we owe him a great debt of gratitude for what he did.
Wow. That's
for us.
really cool. What was his name?
Ed Winiker.
Ed, yeah. Wow, that's pretty impressive. That really is. It's really
Well,
solid.
we got an
Wow.
education. I heard my brother say the other day to somebody that when we got to college, we were already professional musicians.
Yeah.
Because we joined my dad's band when Bo was 10 and I
Yeah.
was 13.
Yeah.
He gave the men notice in the band he had at the time, and we took over. And my mother was the bass player at 36.
Oh my
But
God.
here's the point I wanted to make. I got way off track. When you were in school and Bo
Yeah.
was in school and I was in school, the three of us had the same favorite album, and we got up every morning because Bo and I roomed together at school. So because we had to get an apartment. The men didn't have dorms at the conservatory.
Oh.
Only the women did. So we had to get an apartment. We were on Hemingway Street. So anyway, we all had the same favorite album. Every morning we got up and played 7 Steps to Heaven. That is the greatest album I think ever made in the history of jazz. And I want to tell you about
I can still go back to my apartment and putting it on and the feeling. It's just wow. Yeah.
that album. It still gives me goosebumps now. We'll still listen to it now.
Yeah.
It was just revolutionary. But I wonder if you realize this. On side A, the piano player was not Herbie Hancock. It was Victor Feldman. And the drummer was not Tony Williams. It was Frank Butler from Los Angeles. So 2 LA cats were on the album, Victor Feldman. And Victor wrote 7 Steps to Heaven, that tune, which is on the next side. Herbie's playing it, but Victor wrote it. And
Was
Victor wrote
was that the album? I can't remember. Was that the album with a different tenor player too on both sides?
Yes, it was George Coleman playing tenor.
Right.
And I fell in love with his playing. It was just so gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
But here's a game changer right here. Victor Feldman, you must have met Victor while you were out there.
Yeah, he was here.
Yeah. So Victor Feldman was offered the piano chair.
Yeah.
And he would have been with Tony Williams and Ron Carter and George Coleman. He begged Victor to come and be his pianist, but Victor was doing studio work, playing a lot of vibes, a lot of piano in the studio. Victor mulled it over, but he decided not to go. History would have been changed if Victor went with the Miles group. He would have been on all these albums, but he stayed in LA. And so Miles asked Herbie Hancock, which was a good idea, because that was one of the greatest bands ever put together. I mean, Ron Carter and Herbie Hancock and Tony Williams, revolutionary. I mean, people are still trying to figure out Herbie solos and his things he did.
Yeah, that stuff is so friggin' good. It's so
Miles playing was so fresh and so different.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about
Well,
that?
what do I have to say? I mean, he just went through so many different periods of styles of music. I mean, a lot of guys get locked into the style of music that they play.
Right, they never change.
And they sort of say the same. Miles just kept evolving. That's what to me is so remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me, that's why I love that so much. It reminds me of my dad who never stayed stagnant. We even played avant-garde music. when my high school buddy who played bass would come over late at night and I'd play drums, we'd get into playing wild avant-garde stuff late in the evening. And so,
Oh, what a household, man.
And I'll tell you something else that Bill hasn't told you. We had about a 8 or 9 room farmhouse because we lived on a farm.
Oh.
And in every single room of the house, there was a speaker. And even when you went into the bathroom, you heard music going, and it was going from the time that we got up until the early morning hours. I had to turn my speaker off in my room sometimes because I couldn't get any sleep. But it was just Ella and Louie and Billy and
the Freddie
George
Hubbard.
Shearing.
Yeah.
I mean, we just listened to it all, you
Everything.
know, but it was going 24/7 music in every room in the house. You couldn't get away from it.
That's wild. And was that
Yeah.
both of your parents doing?
Well, it was mostly my father, but my mother's mother was a pianist who played for the silent movies. So there you have it. She had
Hmm.
music inside of her too. And she still sits down at the piano now and plays a little bit for us.
Your
Even though
mother,
she-
your
yeah,
grandmother, or
no, our mother.
Our
Yeah.
mother still sits down and plays the piano for us once in a while, but she was a string bass player. We didn't have a bass. Bill was on drums, I was on trumpet, and my dad was on the keys. And so we needed a bass. So he brought her home a bass for Mother's Day quite a few years ago. And that's the story. That's the story of the Winiker family band. And you know, what a life. We've traveled all throughout New England, and playing at resorts and playing at thousands of weddings and corporate events. We played at the Parker House Hotel for 14 years. We've got
that
a lot-
in by itself, I was very impressed with. Geez, what was it?
years.
7 days a week or something?
7 days a week. It was 6 nights plus Sunday afternoon brunch. We also were doing the weddings in the hotel. We had a pianist in Parker's restaurant every 6 nights a week plus a harpist on Sundays. I mean,
That's crazy.
we just had a great run for a long time. And we'll get to a lot of these
Yeah.
stories as we
there-
go along.
So what we did was we were playing swing music. The CD that I sent to you, and that's on Spotify there, half of that CD, the tune we just heard, were the guys in the band would write us modern tunes, and we were playing swing tunes, but we'd always play some modern stuff too, so we could get a whole gamut of music in there. So the first side of the CD is the modern stuff. The second side is the swing arrangements, which my father scaled down to a 6-piece band.
You're talking about this CD.
That
getting some-
CD, yeah,
Okay.
the first half of that music is modern music that we
Uh-huh.
play with the 6-piece band, and the other half is original swing arrangements from the big bands.
Starlight Ballroom, maybe?
Yeah, well, Starlight Haunted Ballroom's a Victor Feldman tune. It's a
Right.
modern tune.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
That's your point.
yeah. My point is that we were brought into that hotel to recreate the 30s and 40s music,
Yeah.
but our guys in the band would contribute all kinds of modern arrangements so we could play the modern style swinging music too.
That's amazing. Wow. I know an occasional musician like Armando Campion is a bass player. He grew up in Texas, and he had a big family of brothers, and they were all, including his dad, bass players.
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
And his mother had died when they were young, and he was like, one of those kids who slept under the piano at rehearsals and stuff like that, and then at night after gigs, everybody would come over to their house and play, but you don't always run into people like that. I mean, your life was really amazing. Wow. I mean, we had music, but not like that.
We didn't know anything different from what we did. We traveled every summer to a resort or something like that, and we just had all kinds of amazing experiences through the years, and none of it was programmed or planned. Everything just happened because of divine intervention. That's what I would have to tell you.
Yeah. We're the opposite of you in one area. We're not good business people. We've had a career that's just about 60 years now. Is
59. This is-
59 years. Okay.
Actually, this year is our 60th year in the business.
Wow.
Okay, so this is the truth. In all these years, we never tried to get a gig. And we had the most amazing gigs, but it was always playing somewhere, and someone would walk by and say, "You'd be perfect for my this or my that or my ski resort." Or so every gig we ever had, and they're major long-term gigs, we never called anybody to get a gig. We still don't.
But the interesting thing is, my dad was a businessman.
He was.
He was an incredible businessman. And I watched him do this many times. At the end of the year, he would look through all the performances that we had for that year, and he would call each client up and say, "I'm sending you your contract for next year." And that's what he did. And most of the time they signed it and sent it back. And you would have thought that Bill and I would have learned something from our dad, but we didn't, except he did say to us, "Boys, if you want to be successful in this business, just do a great job every time you go out, and that'll take care of itself." And you know what? 59 years later, we still put every ounce of our being into every performance. It's just the way that it is. We give it all every single time, and it's a thrill. Every time we play, it doesn't matter if it's at a nursing home or at the White House, which I've done, or soloing with the New York Philharmonic or Cleveland Orchestras, whatever it is, or even conducting the Boston Pops 7 times at Symphony Hall. So I,
Holy
you know,
moly.
whatever the assignment is, we give it all we have. So
Well,
that's it.
I mean, that by itself is an amazing statement. And, I mean, often people talk about that, right? People who are successful in their life. And by successful, I mean, are leading a fulfilled life and have a career that they're happy with. And, that's what they're doing. They're giving it their all. They're hanging out. I remember talking to David Amram. He said, "Yeah, I got a scholarship in hangology." He was hanging with Charlie Parker. He was young. He was a French horn player who had played. He was the French horn player on those old jazz records. And he was hanging out with Charlie. Charlie Mingus came in. Charlie Parker said, "You should use this guy. He's really great." Charlie Mingus said, "Do you want to come to Europe next week?" That was it,
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, you make your own opportunities in this world. So much of it has to do with attitude. My 3 favorite words are attitude, gratitude, and a pinch of humility. You got to have humility.
I'm going to write that down. I like that.
You're welcome.
Attitude, gratitude,
and humility.
humility.
Yeah, I mean, humility. I mean, you got to leave your ego at the door when you go in and pick it up on the way out. It's never about us at all. I mean, we've done thousands and thousands of weddings. I mean, 59 years. We've been playing at wedding receptions our whole lives, and we love it. And, it's all about everybody having a good time. And you know what we do? We're the facilitators. We get right in the middle of everything that's going on at any party we play. And we can set the tone for a really great party, and it doesn't matter what the music is.
Well, you used the right word, facilitator, and you serve the music, you serve what's the situation, you serve it, right?
Symphony Hall would be packed on New Year's Eve, and I would have everybody marching. Everybody would be out of their seats and in the second balcony and the first balcony and all through the hall. I get them marching up and I mean, some guy who was with the orchestra for 35 years, he said, "Bo, I've never seen that before. I've never seen anybody. This is Symphony Hall." I said, "I don't care where
a conga line going off.
I don't care where it is. I mean, I just want to have fun, I see that smile on your face. That's the way I want to see people smiling until it hurts. So, I mean,
boy, that must have been a night that a lot of people didn't forget.
Well, something they never forget it. And when I sit down with the bride and groom, even now, I say to them, I want you and your guests to talk about your wedding for a minimum of 10 years as the best wedding that they've ever been to. And that happens. I don't say that idly. I mean, we really make it special. I mean, it's just not, I don't know how to describe it. It's our own style that we've put together in all these years. I mean, it's homespun. It's very different and very special.
Yeah, all these brides and grooms that we played for, I'd say 80% of them have become lifetime friends. And this goes back, many years now, that they just become part of our family.
Yeah, wherever we play, they come to see us.
Because we always keep a gig in a restaurant, at least one day a week, where we play just jazz. And the people that come are all these brides and grooms for the past. They bring their children when they're born.
Oh.
They celebrate their birthdays or anniversaries. We can fill up the place with all the people we played for over the years.
You know something, there's nowhere that Bill and I can go in the city of Boston where we don't run into someone that we played for 42 years ago, 36 years ago, 20 years ago. I mean, it's such a wonderful feeling. Just that feeling alone of saying, boy, you guys, we never forgot that great time that we had at our wedding. I mean, it happens. It really does. I'm not making it up either.
I don't think you are making it up. I have a few comments, but one is Louise Koopman. She loves your stories. She said hi. Did you
Louise
talk
is
about?
great.
She said, did you talk about the place you went up north and stayed and played?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was up in Vermont at a ski lodge. We were just traveling through. Go ahead. Top Notch.
Well, there's Top Notch, and then there's Ed Barber.
Yeah.
So
Mount Snow.
So we ended up with a 10-year gig at Mount Snow in Vermont. And this is typical of every job we've ever gotten. So this starts with my father. My father worked for the Gretsch Drum Company. You've seen Gretsch drum sets.
Yeah.
Because that's the preferred set for a real good jazz drummer. So my father was the New England rep for Gretsch, and he would sell to all the music stores in New England. And oftentimes he would take my drum set in the station wagon and Bo's trumpet, my mother's bass, and we'd go and visit dealers and put on a little concert, because Bo would demonstrate. The Gretsch Drum Company imported trumpets from France, Queen on trumpets and flugelhorns, and everybody, all the jazz guys were playing Queen on flugelhorns. Freddie Hubbard was, and everybody at first. So we would put on a little concert in the music stores, and Bo would play the Queen on flugelhorn, and I was playing the Gretsch drum set. And so we went to Providence, Rhode Island, and we were playing at a music store that my father sold a lot of drums to and horns to. And he took us out to a fancy restaurant in Providence for a nice family dinner. We were all there. So it was called Ballad's Inn. And we went there, and they had a trio playing there. And we're enjoying our dinner, and somehow we talked to the trio, and they found out we were musicians, and they invited us to sit in. And so the owner of the restaurant saw us playing, and he said, I want you to play at my inn on Block Island for the summer. And the band that was playing played there too. He said, we'll have two bands. They'll play 30 or 40 minutes. You'll play 30, 40. You just we'll have continuous music all night long.
Wow.
So we ended up, because of sitting in at the restaurant, we got 2 summers on Block Island.
It was wonderful.
And
I don't know Block Island. What is Block Island?
It's just off the coast of Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
yeah, Long Island Sound. A lot of people go there from Long Island Sound. They'll come out that way.
It's a beautiful, quaint island.
It's Martha's Vineyard, Block Island.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's Block Island is more quaint. It's not as developed but beautiful.
So tell them about Ed Barber now.
Okay. So we're playing our second summer there, and this guy comes in. Everybody came in on their boats, and they dock and stay down there. So this nice man came in, and he said to us on the break, he said, "You're a family band." He says, "I run a family ski resort in
Mount Snow.
Mount Snow." He says, "I want you to come and play. The families would love you guys." A mother and father and 2 talented, wonderful sons. But so we said, all right. So we ended up going there for 10 years in a row for Christmas school vacation. Playing a couple of weeks there. And that was so great. It was, he paid us well and gave us deluxe suite that we lived in. And it was just great. But that's how we got every job. It was a story like that. First of all, we sat in at Ballad's Inn. We got to Block Island, or on Block Island. He discovers us. And
did you guys book other musicians? Because it sounds like you probably got more attention than you could handle.
Yes. Well, this comes a little later. So we played together for 17 years with that band, and would add on a saxophone or a guitar or female vocalist if it was a bigger gig, but it was always the core of us. But eventually we got this gig at the Parker House. And
Right.
I think, let's talk about how that happened, and then we'll tell you why we had to get more bands and more musicians.
Well, that
Yeah.
happened because I was at the conservatory at the time. I was still studying at the conservatory, and I was
Well, I
invited.
think we should do the pub and grub first, and that led us to the Parker House.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
a
true.
great story.
Yep, tell that story then.
All right, so we were playing 5 summers on a boat
Yeah.
instead of going to a resort. We played 5 summers on a ship that sailed from Boston to Provincetown. It was a brand new boat. They used to do this in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and then it stopped.
Yeah.
But a gentleman by the name of Dick Nicasian built a brand new boat, and he ran it for 1 summer with no music on it. It was just a silent 3.5-hour trip to Provincetown, and then stay there for 2 hours and then come back. You didn't have to come back. If you bought the ticket, you could stay a few days, have vacation, come back whenever you wanted. A lot of people own homes down there, and that's how they would get there. A cross section of America was on that boat. Midwesterners coming to Boston would take a day trip to Provincetown. It was just very interesting. So first of all, the reason we were playing on that boat, so I'm going back even a little further. We had no interest, we didn't know anything about that boat, didn't even know it existed. But which bank was it?
State Street Bank, Bill.
Okay, so the State Street Bank built a skyscraper right on the waterfront in the business district. They hired us, just the 4 of us, to play and take all their employees out on the Provincetown boat at night, because they'd rent the boat out at night for private parties. They wanted their employees to look at the new bank from the ocean, from right in close in the harbor.
Yeah.
And
Nice
so they
idea.
rented, they rented the boat.
It was fun.
They hired us, the bank hired us. Now, the owner of the boat got on the cruise that night, and he's observing us. We didn't know who he was or anything, but
Here we go.
at the end of the cruise, he says, "You're a family band, and this boat is filled with families all day long. We're going to start sailing this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend coming up to Provincetown. I want you to play on the boat." And we were available that weekend, and we didn't have a summer gig lined up yet. So we went and played. The 4 of us played all the way down to Provincetown and back. And it was the roughest day at sea you've ever seen in your life. I was so sick, I can't even tell you how sick I was. I was ashen white. I mean, it was terrible. We were all sick. So I said to Mr. Nicasian, I said, "We can't do this job. I'm sorry. It's not for us." So he said, "Please," he said, "try it one more time, because tomorrow the seas are going to be placid. It's going to be a gorgeous sunny day. One more time." I was sick as a dog, but I said, "All right." So the next day it was beautiful. God, we set up on the top deck where I was getting a suntan, and we're playing beautiful. We're playing a lot of jazz and pop music too, everything. We'd look around and see who was on the boat. We'd average a big full boat of 300-400 people a day. So it was so great. We said, "All right, we'll do it." So we played 7 days a week for that summer, and ended up doing that
Wow.
for 5 summers in a row.
Wow.
And high society people would take that trip to go to their big mansions down in Provincetown.
Jeez.
Groups of nuns, groups of cyclists, a large gay
Oh my
crowd,
God. Wow.
just people from all over the country that wanted to take a trip to Provincetown because they were advertising it. We just met the widest variety of people.
Wonderful. But I want to add something to what Bill's telling you, is that we would leave at 9 in the morning and we'd get back at 7 o'clock at night. It was a very long day with 2.5-hour layover in Provincetown. But what Bill hasn't told you yet is that at least 4 or 5 nights a week, the boat would go out at 8 o'clock for a 3-hour cruise. And most of those nights we would be on the boat playing.
So there were private parties, and they recommended us, so we would do most of those gigs.
So we'd go from 9 in the morning to like 11 o'clock at night, and then we'd get a few hours sleep and we'd be back on the boat in the morning. So we developed a very good work ethic from a very early age. I mean, for me to go and play 4 solid hours without ever really stopping, I mean, I don't have any problem with that at all. I mean, I just love to play. So, but we really worked hard, and we also learned how to get our sea legs too from all those
Yeah,
years.
there were some rough trips. I mean,
Oh goodness, there were
really.
a few times my dad's piano fell right over. It was a keyboard, but it just tripped right over, and the drums were sliding all
Oh,
over
the
the deck.
drums tipped over too, and the cymbals crashed to the floor.
I
Oh,
tell you,
God.
it was fun though. As Bill said to you, we saw the whole world unfold in front of our eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was miraculous.
we kind of learned to become psychologists because it was just the most diverse cross section of people you could ever see. We developed a format after a while, and on the way home, we played Name That Tune. And we played the starboard side of the ship against the port side. There were benches all the way down. And the wildest thing during this Name That Tune is that people that would never even normally speak to each other were so excited to try to come up with the name of the tune that high society people were talking to alcoholics and gay people and nuns. And I mean, it was the
Oh,
craziest
my
thing.
God.
But whatever side of the ship won got a sea chart from the autographed by the
Wow.
captain. So the game was so much fun.
It was fun.
And that was one of many things we conceived to entertain the people all the way down.
And that took about an hour and a half, that game.
Yeah, coming back.
And
That's how we started.
So that was half the trip. So,
Yeah.
we had fun things to do with the guests as well. And yeah, that was a great experience.
But going down, we'd open up with a history of American popular music, starting with ragtime and jazz, and then pop music, and that took up the first hour going down. We came up with all these things to entertain the people going down. But here's what happened: 5 years we're doing this. In the fifth year, my father came up with an idea, because we had 2 hours off every day to go into town, have lunch, or go swimming, or just stay on the boat if we wanted. So my father came up with this idea, which we didn't buy into, but this was in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And it was the height of the disco era. And he said, you know what? He said, it's time to bring back swing music to America. It's all disco now on the radio and everything. I think we can bring back swing. But economically, there's no way that people are going to hire a 14, 15, 16 piece band. So I'm going to start writing and see if I can reduce the original arrangements to 6 musicians: a trumpet, an alto sax who doubled on clarinet and flute, and a tenor sax who doubled on clarinet and flute, piano, bass, and drums. So 3 horns in the front. So his concept was the trumpet would play with the 2 saxes, create the sax section. And then the saxes would play with the trumpet and create the brass section. So he kept writing and experimenting. And we said, that's ridiculous. Nobody's going to want to hear swing music now, because we were playing, when we played jazz, it was like Lee Morgan and Freddie Hubbard. It was more modern.
Yeah.
So, but he stuck with it.
He persevered.
And each one of us had a sub. We couldn't play 7 days a week. It was too much. So I took a day off a week, and I had nice drum subs, and Bo had this sub, Skip Potter, who was teaching at Berkeley, great trumpet player.
Skip Potter.
And
That
so
sounds
Skip,
familiar.
yeah. Do you remember Skip at all? I don't know.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah. So Skip. So we each had. My mother had John Lockwood, who's a famous bass player, was her sub. He's played with everybody, Joe Henderson, you name it. But anyway, we all had a sub, and my father would take a day off, and Ray Santisi sometimes would come. We had great people to come and play. So Skip Potter bought into the idea, and he was a great arranger. So he went home, he was only playing 1 day a week with us. He went home and started writing Glenn Miller arrangements, Artie Shaw arrangements, Benny Goodman arrangements, Duke Ellington, Count Basie. I mean, all the bands. He started copiously writing these arrangements, reduced to 6 musicians, and he was great at it.
Yeah.
Because you can hear them. They're on that CD. The arrangements are on the second side of the double CD we sent.
Yeah.
So we'll hear a couple of those today.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's an auditory illusion. It sounds like the full 16 piece band.
Oh, we got to
because
hear that.
You're going to hear it today, and we're going to discuss it. But
can I go listen now?
Sure.
Or, but do you
yeah,
want to finish
we can
your
listen
story?
to one of those. Well, I'll finish the story and then we'll play
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah.
So my brother didn't buy into this idea at all. He thought it was ridiculous. So when the season was over, we started rehearsing in Millis, Massachusetts.
Our hometown.
Yeah, 20 miles out of Boston. We grew up on
Okay.
a farm there. We
Yeah.
started rehearsing without Bo. We had to get Stevie K. Adams, who eventually worked with us at the Park House, to play the trumpet book on clarinet. And we got these two brothers that used to play in the big bands that lived in the next town to play. One was an alto player and one was a tenor player. They were great. So we rehearsed with a clarinet playing the trumpet book and the two saxes, me on drums and my father on piano, and I guess my mother playing bass. And we rehearsed those arrangements and they were getting good. They were sounding really good. So we got a job at the Faneuil Hall Marketplace. They opened up
Yeah.
the new marketplace with all those shops, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was just great. You remember that?
Yeah.
And so we got a job playing there for the opening. We're playing outdoors, playing all those swing arrangements. And this time, when we both heard we had a real gig, he played. He finally got on board. And
Uh-huh.
this is our first gig with this. And so we had a great tenor player, a
Wow.
great alto player, and Bo and my father in the rhythm section. And so we're playing away, and a gentleman walks by and he stands there and listens. A lot of people stood by and listened, but he approached us. So this is just like all the other stories. He said, I own a place called the Pub and Grub. It's just around the corner on Kilby Street.
19 Kilby.
19 Kilby in the business district. It was a deli, but they ran all night too.
Yeah.
And so he said, I want you to play at the deli one night a week. I want you to play this swing music that you're playing.
Wow.
So we did. We didn't know it would last or anything. And it was slow. The first few weeks, nothing was happening. We were playing. It was great. And he fed us a nice dinner every night and everything. But you want to take over on
Well, I
this?
will take over. I was invited to I was at the conservatory at this time, and there was a dinner going on at a restaurant in East Boston called Lombardo's. And just as you get out of the tunnel on your way to the airport. And so someone from the conservatory invited me to this dinner. And so I met this guy by the name of Dennis Lombardo. And Dennis would be an important person in our life because of the fact that that night he introduced me to the director of sales and the director of catering at the Parker House Hotel. And so I met them, the nicest people you could ever meet. And I told them, by the way, we're playing at this little restaurant in the business district, which was just a few blocks away from the Parker House. I said, please come and hear us play sometime. So lo and behold, a week or two later, they show up and they love the music. They're young. They're very, very young people, but they love the swing music. And so they kept coming back each week. And every week they would bring someone else from the hotel. Eventually they brought back the general manager from the hotel, Bob McIntosh. And so Bob said to us, look, I want you guys to come over and we're going to have a meeting. And we want to think about having this band in the last hurrah of the Parker House Hotel. So that's really, Dennis Lombardo introduced me. I met David and Nancy. We got into the Parker House, and that's how we ended up there for 14 years. It was incredible. So Nancy
How
was.
did they, how did they even, I guess that was the time period, but they actually said, yeah, we'll have you 6 nights a week.
Well, here's the deal. As Bill said to you, this was like right in the heart of the disco era. And so we were like a salmon swimming upstream, but it was an oasis for people that wanted something different. And Bill tells the story beautifully. We had doctors and nurses coming over from Mass General Hospital. We had all the politicians coming from the State House, which was just a block up the hill.
Huh.
I mean, it was a melting pot. In those 14 years,
Lawyers.
Many couples had their first date at the last hurrah listening to our music. I run into people all the time and they say, Bo, we came to hear you. That's where we dated and ended up getting married. So Nancy was the director of catering, and she was recommending us for all the weddings in the hotel. So between the weddings and things going on in the last hurrah, what it did was like time-lapse photography. It sped up our career, and people started calling the hotel switchboard looking for our band. My mother retired from playing and she became the business manager. of us, and she was talking to all the clients and booking all the weddings. And then my dad reformed his band again. He had his 6 and 8-piece band, and Bill formed his and I formed mine, so that we each had our own bands. And then we had other musicians too. There was a time when we had 50 people that were working for us on any given Saturday night. 50 people would be all over the city.
It's all thanks to the Parker House. People would meet there and get married and then hire us for their weddings. And so we each had to form our own band. And my father, the first year we played together, but the second year and the rest of the years there, I played 2 nights a week with my band, and Bo played 2 nights a week with his band, and my dad played 2 nights a week with his band.
And then on Sundays, we'd all get together and play on the brunch on Sundays.
Yeah, the 3 of us would be together with 3 other people.
But interestingly enough, what Bill said to you earlier on in this conversation is that nothing was ever predetermined. It just happened. I mean, it's uncanny how one thing, like a snowball, one thing would lead to another. And so it's just quite remarkable.
Now, I have to ask this, not to be a downer, but every gig must end. That's what the joke is, right? So how did it end?
Well, it ended in 1991 when Omni Hotel bought the hotel from the Parker, from the Dunphy family had sold it to Aer Lingus.
See, this wonderful Irish family owned this hotel, the Parker House Hotel. My father and mother were the same age as these Dunphys, and they became inseparable. They would dine together and go out to different restaurants around town together. And my folks lived in a suite in the hotel. We ate free there. And it was just, but the Dunphy family was a lovable family, and they sold it to Omni.
No, they didn't. They sold it to Aer Lingus.
Aer Lingus.
And then Aer Lingus sold it to Omni. And so the Omni people just made a business decision. They saw that they had a 6-piece band playing every night in the last hurrah. They were eating their meals in the hotel. We were living in the hotel. They said, this has to stop. And so that was it. They said they weren't going to renew the contract. So I thought that was the end for us.
We felt terrible.
We were devastated. I thought it was the end of everything. But you know what? That was 91. I think in 92, we went to Washington with the 21-piece band playing at President Clinton's inaugural ball, and Aretha Franklin sang with us that night. It was quite remarkable. So something, it wasn't over. It just felt like it was over. But because, Bill, hold on a second, because we were there for 14 years, we built up a lot of following, and people just didn't forget us overnight. So even nowadays, people say, well, we remember you from the Parker House. But I still want to say to you that it was just remarkable how we could just find something. We finished playing at the Parker House, and soon after that, we started playing at a little fish restaurant in Boston called Skipjack's Restaurant. We would play there for 26 years on Sundays, every Sunday brunch.
Wow.
So I mean, here's what my dad taught us: how to keep a job.
Yeah.
Here's for anyone listening: if you want to know how to keep a job, not that this will work for you, but it's worked for us. Here's what it entails: go in, do the best job you possibly can do, and when you finish, pack up and get out of there, and don't tell the people how to run their business.
Yeah.
And it's worked for us, I'm telling you, because we've had a very long career of long-standing performances. I mean, 14 years at the Parker House. I think that's pretty amazing. I sometimes have to scratch my head. I can't really believe it.
So we started a school because I had to start a brand new band, and Bo had to start a new band, and my dad had to start a new band. So we took, and it was free. The school was free. We taught free.
Well, it was more like mentoring than a school. But tell the story, because it's a good one.
Yeah. So the swing bands, when you saw Benny Goodman in 1939 or 40 or 41 or 40, they were all young guys. All the bands, they were young men and young women singing. So we took people from Berkeley that were great improvisers, and from New England Conservatory, which had a great jazz department. And from those two schools, we asked the teachers who are the best players that can really play. But all these saxophone players and piano players and everybody, they were all playing, the sax players were all into John Coltrane. and Joe Henderson and, Benny Maupin and all that. And the piano players were playing like Herbie and McCoy and all that. So
Nothing wrong with that.
no, it's great. And we were playing that way too before my father got this idea for swing. I had to get all the swing records and study because my feel was not my feel was a little ahead. I love your story about the three people that all played with a different sense of time. So I was into Freddie Hubbard and all those Lee Morgan, the Blue Note records. So I like to play a little on top.
Yeah.
But swing music, you play right on the beat. So I had to get every Benny Goodman. I bought these anthologies, CD anthologies, the whole complete Benny Goodman, complete Artie Shaw, complete Duke Ellington, complete all the bands. They had a box set you could buy for every band. And I studied and studied to get myself to be able to play right down the middle, because that's the way it was for dancing. And that's a great swing feel too. It's all great. It just helped me, to be able to play any style. So what I did was, though, I made cassettes of it so that I made lots of cassettes. We could duplicate cassettes like crazy in those days. And then we started a class and
right in our apartment.
In our apartment on Longwood Ave in Brookline.
Right in our apartment.
We had a real piano in there, and my drum had a drum set up, and so we'd have a 6-piece band play every Monday night of young people. And we'd go with that group for a long time. And if they graduated, they all went home with the cassette tapes so they could hear. That's how Bo and I learned. He could imitate Harry James and Bunny Berrigan and all. We learned to get it in our blood. If you want to be a jazz musician or a golfer or tennis player, you got to, like Malcolm Gladwell said, you got to listen to thousands of hours of jazz. I mean, there's ways to teach people to improvise, but you really have to listen to all the greats and take a little from everybody. So we trained these guys how to play swing, and it was every Monday night for a couple of hours. And then they were poor college kids. We took them all out. None of us had money when we were in college. So, unless we were from Saudi Arabia or something. But so there was a place in Newton called Cantina Abruzzi. And we would take the whole class and go over to Cantina Abruzzi because on Monday nights, we rehearsed on Mondays. It was all the pasta you could eat for $4. You could have 10 plates, 3 plates, one if you just wanted. Bo out-ate all those kids, I'm telling you. Never seen anything like it, but we had a ball. And you could have 6 different sauces. They had all kinds. It was great. And so, and if people graduated that class, they came to work with us at the Parker House.
Oh,
And so Frank piano player, from France, and Tierney Sutton was my dad's singer when she was here at school. Now, I'm not kidding.
She sang in my dad's band. She's unbelievable.
That's
so great.
hysterical.
She was a student. And Diana Krall, we've got a great Diana Krall story too, but we'll save that for a little later because right now we're talking about this. And so that's how it worked. Then we get a new class and train them again. And if they graduated, they come to work for us.
And many of these young musicians, they went to New York and all over the country, and they just really are having incredible careers, like lead trumpet player with the Frank Sinatra Orchestra. Just some of these musicians are incredibly talented, and many of them still keep in touch with us years and years later. And they say the same thing over and over again. We learned so much with you guys. And something, we Bill and I have done a lot of mentoring in our lives, tons and tons of it, hundreds of people. We never ever charged a penny. I used to call it Winiker Academy, but it was just a fictitious name, just for fun. But we just got great pleasure out of giving back and sharing. Sharing what the gifts that we received from our father, that learning. We were able to pass it on to other people, and boy, it really touches me right in the heart, quite honestly, that we could do that.
So sweet. That's so wonderful. I have to interrupt a little. I want to tell you guys a few people who are here. And Roland is here, by the way, Bill.
All right, Roland.
Roland, you're famous. And let's see. I have a friend, Dan Davila, and he's kind of providing clips of a gala pops in 2007, and you playing at weddings, and the opening gala for the BSO in 2013.
Yeah, that's just.
And David Rosen says, great stories and remembrances. Thanks for
Thank you,
sharing.
David.
Loved hearing you guys at the Parker House, the endurance, adaptability, and continuing popularity of the Winiker Band over 6 decades is a remarkable achievement in the competitive and ever-changing music business.
Boy, whoever wrote that, that's beautiful. It touches me deeply.
Who
That
wrote
was
that?
David Rosen.
Oh, thank you, David.
Wow, that's
Beautiful.
really heartwarming. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Louise Koopman, again, she said she was happy she caught one of the last Skipjack gigs, the Brothers in Brookline. So
Yeah.
thankful for your generosity and always offering the stage to singers. You guys made so many cherished memories for so many people, including me.
Wow. Well, she was one of Rebecca Paris's best students.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Louise and I have communicated, but it's been a long time,
well,
right? Louise?
she's enormously talented.
She's a great songwriter. You should interview her, and she's a marvelous singer, and she's just a great human being.
Did you guys know that? So Rebecca was a year older than me, and we were in a group called, let's see,
Bostonians.
Yeah, there was the Greater Bostonians, and there was another one too that we were in earlier than that. But the Greater Bostonians was led by professional arrangers, 2 arrangers, and like handpicked people from each high school in Boston. And I was in that for, I guess, 3 years. And that's Rebecca and I were in that together. And her name was something, Ruth McCluskey. She was actually, her uncle was a famous vocal teacher, and he wrote a book, and she had been singing rock and roll, and then she found
Yeah.
jazz, and of course she was just really amazing singer. But she was kind of my protector. She was much taller than I was.
Yeah.
And she was just
I know.
a year older, I was like, yeah. But yeah, she was an amazing person. And are you friends with Marla?
Yes, we're friends
Yeah.
with Marla.
We sure
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, no one exuded more love than Rebecca. She just oozed love. I mean, I just love to be around her.
No, what a singer. Boy, she, what an artist does, a great artist, they take a song and they make it their own. And
She was
what-
amazing. Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, one of the best singers ever.
Yeah.
And a real sweetheart. And she used to come here, and I had for about 16 consecutive years, I did a lot of workshops, like 4 to 8 workshops a month. And not just for me giving them, but for invited guest clinicians, right? So she came here several times and did workshops, and it was always really very powerful emotionally, and resulting wise, really powerful. A lot of times the singers would cry while they were singing, which she would love. Yeah, come on, rip it out of yourself,
Yeah.
That was great. Hey, so can we hear something?
Sure.
What do you want to hear?
What do you want to say, Billy?
Well, no, let's hear something. But do you want to do an example of what we played, the original swing arrangements at the Parker House?
Yeah.
Okay, so which one of those, Go Fly a Kite, or
It doesn't matter.
You're a Lucky Guy? What Teddy goes
how about You're a Lucky Guy?
Okay.
So let me set this up. So
Okay.
this was 1939. Artie Shaw in the orchestra. Artie played the greatest clarinet, and our clarinet player really comes through on this. And this is a number that Tony Pastor, the tenor saxophone player, one of the tenor saxophone players in the sax section. Tony ended up with his own band after Artie Shaw, but Tony was a singer, and he sang. Artie had all these novelty numbers written for Tony Pastor to jump right out of this section and sing. And we recorded 5 of them. So Bo could do these vocals. So this is Bo singing like Tony Pastor, and that's a tribute to Artie Shaw and the orchestra. This is the original 1939 arrangement, and this is what we were doing at the Parker House besides playing some modern arrangements
With
too.
just 6 horns. I mean, with just 3 horns.
Just three horns.
Yeah, just 3 horns, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a lucky guy when you consider the highest bidder can't buy the gleam in your eyes. You're a lucky guy. Thank your lucky stars. You got a honey, she wants no money. She'll take you just as you are. Thank your lucky stars. Hey, fella, say, fella, don't you realize it's fated, you're rated? Open up your eyes. You're a lucky guy. You're just beginning, so have your inning. Let your troubles go fry. No one can deny you're a lucky guy.
That's great. Wow, you know, your singing reminds me a little bit of Frank Rossellino.
Wow.
Wow.
We love Frank Rossellino, boy. What a trombone player.
Oh,
And he was a
God.
great singer. Did you hear him sing too?
Never heard him sing. No.
Oh, let me just see if I possibly have something to show you, because you'll see what I mean. I mean, not exactly, of course, you're your own person, but
of course.
Rossellino, Frank Rossellino, Turn Me Loose. That's
Yes, you're just too marvelous for words. Like glorious, glamorous, and that old standby amorous. It's all too wonderful. I'll never find the words that say enough, tell enough. I mean, they just aren't swell enough. You're much too much, and just too very to ever be in Webster's dictionary. And so I'm borrowing a love song from the Birds to tell you that you're marvelous, too marvelous for words.
see what I mean? A little
Oh,
bit.
I love it.
Right?
I love it. Swinging
Yeah.
like mad.
Totally. Oh my
You
God.
know what I'd like to show right now, the contrast between modern swing and old swing. So I'd like to do Victor Feldman's tune, the Starlight Haunted Ballroom. Victor wrote this tune to remember the old big band days, but it's modern, really hip.
This Starlight Haunted Ballroom?
Yeah,
Okay.
it shows the contrast between the styles.
Yeah.
Hear 'em swing, see 'em sway to the songs of yesterday. String of pearls, Elmer's tune, midnight at the starlight haunted ballroom. Long ago, so they say, all the big bands used to play. My romance, love and bloom, midnight at the starlight haunted ballroom. Gene Krupa beating on the drums, and Tommy Dorsey playing the slide trombone. Glenn Miller put you in the mood with a song, and sat smoke got up and blew on his horn. One more song, maestro, please. One more waltz before we leave. Caravan, paper moon, midnight at the starlight haunted ballroom.
Here, I'm gonna stop because I want to talk more too.
Sure.
That's really beautiful.
Well, I want to interject something here. Sorry, Cathy, for speaking over you there. But on that particular CD, I sang 14 songs.
Oh, wow.
This was Bill's idea. Bill produced this particular CD,
Uh-huh.
and he wanted me to sing.
Well, what I wanted to do was I wanted to take all the vocal charts that we had for male vocal for that band at the Park House, and I wanted to get those on a CD. And so my idea was to do all the vocal charts. And we did plenty of instrumental too, but so that's why there's so many vocals.
But over the years, and right through to this day, we have female vocalists, male vocalists who are just spot on so great. And I really was hesitant. I was fighting Bill tooth and nails on this particular project. I said, Bill, I'm not really a singer. I love to sing. I do most of my singing in the shower. But well, Bill said, you're going to do this project. So I did it. We recorded it. I'm very pleased with the results. But one of the things I did, I gave a copy of this CD to Gunther Schuller. Now, I worked with Gunther for 25 years in school and out of school, traveled around the world with Gunther, just, doing different things with him musically for many years. And
Yeah.
so Gunther had a pile. I remember the day I went over to his house. He also lived in Newton.
Yeah.
And so he had a pile of CDs. He says, Bo, I have to listen to all these CDs. But he says, I'm going to take your CD and I'm going to put her on the top of the list, because he was like a second father to me. Gunther and I were awfully close. And so about 4 or 5 days later, he called me on the phone and he said, Bo, I have to tell you something. He says, you have a very sweet voice. That's what he said to me. So again, I was just so grateful that, I did this project and that it came off as well as it did. And it was, what can I say? I'm not a singer, but.
Well,
but,
I mean, the voice is a really interesting instrument because it brings forth the soul of the person, and so I can't tell you how many workshops I've sat through with just an imprinted smile on my face, hearing people get up and sing their best and make magic and music and touch me, just over and over and over again at jam sessions. And, it's the voice is a really great tool. So I can understand totally that, his point of view of that. This is kind of an offshoot. I'm just wondering if you guys knew Bevan Manson, because Bevan and Gunther worked together.
Yeah, I did a few gigs with Bevan when he was here.
Yeah.
So I know Bevan and had a good time with him. He's great.
I met him through Tony Ballard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I came home once and I needed a band. So she introduced me to Bevan, and the first thing that I went into his house and he played me this song, Looking for Bill, which he wrote about Bill Evans, and the intervals and the range was like me. And it was like, wow, this is weird. I've never come across that, right away. But Bevan, yeah, he's a really cool guy. And I actually went to Gunther's house with Bevan. That was quite a home.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Dudley Road.
Yeah.
Wow. That kind of reminds me of how you guys grew up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. One day you were trying to think of somebody, and it was Tom McKinley,
Oh,
the classical and jazz composer and writer. There was somebody on, and no one could come up with Tom's name, but
oh,
Tom, I don't know. Now I can't refer back to
yeah.
what situation.
Who we were
but,
looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now what do you guys do right now? Like, what are you doing with your time, basically?
Well, I've been playing on SoundJack, which allows me, it's a program that goes right through your computer.
Yeah.
And I've been playing with various musicians 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Play for an hour or so. And it's really cool. It's really fun.
Yeah, everything's right in real time. So these guys all bought the box and they can play all day long.
So I've been doing that. We've still been playing. We were, when the pandemic hit, we were off for about 15 months. We had no work at all. I mean, things just came to a stop.
Yes.
And then in the spring of last year, things started to come back again, and we started back to work. And we had a pretty good period. We were very lucky, because not everybody was as lucky, but we were awfully lucky, and we started working again. And that pretty much carried almost to the end of the year, but it then sort of another strain came along, and so towards the end of the year, like November and December, everything was canceled again. No Christmas parties. So
have you been like writing and?
Well, what have I been playing music?
arranging?
I tell you, I'd like to play one of my compositions, which is on the CD for you.
Is it Bo Bossa Bo?
Bo's Nova was one of my pianist wrote that for me. But I the last song is Hymn for My Father. And I wrote that in memory of my father. He's been gone for 25 or 26 years. I'd love to play that today, because I write tunes, and not all the time, but I'm always writing down melodies. So, but this is a remembrance of my father for all that he did for our family. You know, something, the greatest gift that I've ever received next to being born fairly normal is the gift of music that our dad shared with our family.
Sorry, I was stuck on fairly normal.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I am. Trust me.
That's a lovely thought.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you for playing this.
Sure. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Let me start that again. I
No
had
worries.
Turn down the volume. Here we go. Okay. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you very much for that. So I want to give a shout out to Ron Zach. He was playing piano and he played beautiful accompaniment to that. I have always and often say, behind every good soloist is a great accompanist. And me playing my horn without that great accompaniment, might as well forget about it. So there's a song, Bose Nova. Ron wrote that song. Can we play that next? Can we hear that? Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I actually played it earlier too. Yeah.
And then we'll talk some more.
Yeah, and that song almost had kind of an Italian movie kind of
Yeah.
feel, you know.
Yeah.
You know something? I'm not sure where it came from. I think I'm not really sure, but it just
It
came.
just came out.
It
into
just
his head.
came. Yeah, that came to me. So
That's how they come, man.
yeah. So thank you for playing that. I really appreciate
Beautiful.
going coast to coast with Bo Winiker's music. Wow. I probably won't sleep a wink tonight.
It's really nice. Hey, I want to come and jam with you guys.
Oh,
Oh,
please.
you're coming back here, and you will.
Yeah, I'm coming in like May and June, you know, the end of May.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we're supposed to take you to Meredith's house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what she wants.
we'll do it.
That's going to be a fun hang.
Oh, you bet. I hope you play ping. I hope you play ping pong.
I used to.
Okay. Meredith is into ping pong.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay. All right, here we go. Ah. Roland said, and I agree with him, it evokes some like Chuck Mangione.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, this music is available in a physical CD. Is that correct?
Sure is. Yeah.
Yes, you just go to our website to get the CD.
Winikermusic.com.
That's it, winikermusic.com.
So Bill's got another good story with a
Okay.
California connection. We've
Okay,
got a couple of them.
A couple. I just want to mention Peter Erskine.
okay.
Uh,
Peter Erskine.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bo and Peter spent a year together.
Well, 72 and 73, I was out on the road with the Kenton band, and Peter was the drummer.
Oh, wow. So that was right before he got into Weather Report.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And Peter was just incredible. Just
Yeah.
the sweetest guy you'll ever meet, and just the greatest drummer. So I got to know him pretty well. Alan Pasqua was a student at New England Conservatory. I got to know Alan Pasqua very well. Great talent. Tierney Sutton, she sang in my father's
Well,
band. We
Right.
talked about her. So I
Right.
mean, we have a little California connection. When I was on the Kenton band, Bill's going to help me with this story. I had dinner one night at Dante's with Leonard Feather and who was the singer, Bill? And Neil Hefty's son. Oh goodness, I can't.
The singer was Frances Wayne.
That was
Did you ever meet Frances Wayne? She sang with Woody Herman.
I don't know if I ever met her. Her name is familiar to me. And what year was that, Bo?
73.
Okay, so that was right before I worked there.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was wondering if you were there yet.
So I can't think of Neil Hefty's son's name. Darn it.
Paul.
Paul Hefty.
Okay.
So I had, what a night that was, meeting Leonard and hearing some great stories.
Yeah, Leonard and when I was there, Lorraine, his daughter, had her like one of her first gigs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was I got there. I was like 75 for about a year and a half. I was a waitress there.
Wow, that must have been a fun
Yeah.
gig.
Well, that's where you met everybody. You made a lot of connections.
I did. I mean, I made a lot of friends there, and I started sitting in with people. I met Sam Most and Frank Severino and Frank Rossellino and the Conte
Yeah.
brothers,
Oh, boy.
the Condoli brothers, and
Yeah.
Teddy Edwards and Leroy Winiker, and gosh, yeah, that was a really rich time here.
It was. It
It
was.
was kind of actually it was, and that was the end of the good time for Dante's. After I left, then they really started kind of the owner's son kind of took over and never got the same. And then Carrie sold it, except he sold it to some Japanese guys. But before everything kind of transpired, Carrie died in the bathroom.
Oh,
So
boy.
they didn't, yeah. Gay Sherman Tanklevsky, did Bo do weddings? Are you kidding?
Oh,
He
yeah,
did thousands of weddings.
thousands of weddings from 62 on, and we're still doing them. We're playing at the daughters of parents that we 4 years ago. I mean, that's we got a couple of those coming up this year.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
it's really quite remarkable to think that the daughters would have our music, but they
That's
like
wild.
it. Because I told you earlier in this conversation, we have a certain style, it's
Yeah.
just different. It's very elegant.
We're not for
Wait a minute.
everybody.
Okay, wait a minute. My cousin is here, Gay Sherman Tanklevsky. She was one of Gay and Tony. They were twins. They were my cousins. I had twin sisters, Edie and Margie Siegel.
Wow.
Gay said she thinks you did her wedding.
It sounds familiar to me. Yeah.
Gay Sherman. Well, Tanklevsky. Yeah. And
Well, it's a very musical name.
where do you guys live right now, by the way? What part
We
of
live in Coolidge Corner, Brookline.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
we live right
Cool.
next to a Trader Joe's store.
Perfect.
We can roll out of bed and be in the store in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're in a big 8-story high rise. I'm on the first floor and Bo's on the fifth floor.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Coolidge Corner, man.
I love it.
It's wonderful. It's a great place. We can be anywhere in a short amount of time, into the city, out of the city. It's great. Yeah, we're so lucky. We happened to end up here. We were living together in Boston on Hemingway Street. We were on Gainsborough to Hemingway, and then we had a fire in our building, and our landlord liked us so much. He said, I have this 6-unit building in Coolidge Corner. It was like $145 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, rent control when we moved in. So we lived there for a long while. Eventually, Bill had his toothbrush in his hand and something else on him. He said, Bo, I bought a condo next door. I'm leaving.
Yeah, that's where we are now, right next door.
Yeah, so Bill left me at 63, and he moved over to 45 Longwood Ave, and then eventually I left too. But no, we've been together. We've been working side by side for, as I say, this is our 60th year this particular year, so it's a long time. And I will tell you this: Bill is my biggest supporter and my best friend. I feel very lucky, and Bill is a lot smarter than I am. I think Bill has forgotten more than I ever learned, but but I learned how to be nice, and I learned how to treat people, and I learned about doing good deeds. So I want to tell you a little about our mother. I haven't said a word about her. Well, maybe I've said a word about her, but she told Bill and myself hundreds and hundreds of times. She said, boys, it doesn't cost any extra to be nice. The more good deeds you do in this world will translate into a better quality life. So the two of us, we just keep doing good deeds, and you know what? The life just gets better.
Oh, oh, you guys are cute, man.
Well, hey, look, it works for us. It may not work for everyone, but as I told you, I gave you those 3 words. Do you remember what those 3 words were?
Attitude, gratitude, and humility.
Yes, those are the 3 words I try to live by.
Yeah.
I've also been a member of the Brookline Rotary Club for 44 years.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
We do a lot of good work in this
Yeah.
town and around the world too. So I live by that. And I tell you, all we do is we take notes on a piece of paper. And what Bill and I try to do is we try to bring the notes alive. We try to make that music come alive. I mean, we're the gatekeepers of a lot of styles of music, but we try to put all our being into it to make it come alive.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And
Yeah.
when the music comes alive, you go to places that you can't find on any map. You can't get there by taking any alcohol or any drug to get to these places. You get there when the endorphins kick in, and when the music comes alive, then you're just in the greatest place you could ever be in. And we find that feeling, I'd say, just about every time we play. I mean, that's really the magic of life, to be able to find that music, help the music come alive. I mean, it's like finding the what is it?
The mountain comes.
No.
The holy.
No. What am I saying? I can't think of what I'm losing what I want to say. But when the music comes alive, it's like no other feeling in the world. It's so special.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I'm trying
know.
to
I
say.
know. We talk about that every day, don't we? And with somebody,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
read a
right,
book. I've been reading a bunch of. I have at least 8 books I'm reading by the bed. But yeah,
That's so
in
great.
fact, I'm just reading Kenny Werner's second book.
I was just going to bring his name up.
It's really a
Because-
good. The second book is good too. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
continuation of the first book. By the way, Dana Cohen is liking this, and he said your dad would be proud.
No,
Wow.
We love Dana.
We love Dana.
He's a slide trombone man. He's very good.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up Kenny Werner and Fred Hirsch.
Yeah.
So the reason I want to bring them up is because when we were all students in Boston, there was Kenny must have learned every tune in the whole world before he was 16 or 17, because there was this band in Boston. It was the Ruby Newman Orchestras, very high society. They would play at these Brahmin clubs and these cotillions and balls. And so Kenny Werner got in with them, and Bo and I got in with them. they took in some fresh young faces. So we were thrown on lots of gigs with Kenny Werner. Sometimes there were just the three of us.
Huh.
We do, because they had so many gigs that sent us out to do the small parties. So we did a lot of gigs with Kenny, Bo, and I, and sometimes a bass player too. But Kenny could play, left hand and cover it. And
Yeah.
so that's how we got to know Kenny. And then Fred Hirsch was at the New England Conservatory with Bo,
Oh.
and Bo was running the gig office for a while. So we were doing all the jazz quartet gigs, and we had a quartet with Fred Hirsch, Bo,
Nice.
and me, and Boots Mallison, who was Daryl Sherman's bass player in New York. I don't know if you know Daryl.
I don't.
She should be on your show. She's amazing. She's like a Blossom Dearie
Oh.
type. She does solo piano gigs
Oh.
in restaurants and clubs, and she's great.
Yeah.
She's really great.
What
So
is her last name?
Daryl Sherman.
Okay.
You can Google her and you'll hear her and see tons of stuff. Daryl
Yeah.
Sherman.
Okay, cool.
Her father was a great jazz trombonist, and Daryl's had a major career in New York.
Huh.
Cafe Carlisle, and she
Oh.
sings the Great American Songbook, but in a very jazzy way.
Oh, cool.
She'd be a great guest on your show.
Cool. I like
You'd
it.
love her. You'd love each other. So her bass player was in this quartet with Bo and I and Fred Hirsch. We did 1 million gigs together.
Wow.
So
That's nice.
we get to play with a lot of these people in their formative years.
He's a great player. And I played with sorry, my cousin Gay said maybe she's related to us because her last
Might-
name's
might
Sherman.
be.
You never know. But yeah, I played with a pianist named Jeremy Siskind, who was a student of Fred's, and he's a very brilliant player. So I played with him, and I'm actually taking a piano class with him now.
Great. Yeah.
I need to, boy, talk about humility, man. Learning what I can play on piano and whew.
Yeah,
I can
all
play
three of us-
piano, but I'm definitely not up to my own standards.
We're all in the same boat. We all wish we were better pianists, the three of us. But I tell all my drum students, I say, you need to take piano lessons. And I coach classical singers how to sing jazz and swing. And I tell them, all you need to play the piano.
Huh?
That's how you learn all your intervals. And everybody needs piano lessons first. We took piano lessons first before
Yeah.
we played our instruments.
The one of the exercise that he has, and it's a beginning piano class, but people are not really super beginners actually. But he has this thing he calls the drone. Your left hand is on a C and a G, just kind of hanging there, and then in the key of C, your right hand is creating melodies, and improvising. And it's really fun. It's great. I love it. And I mean, it's interesting to hear all the different students take on it. It's really pretty cool to see how people hear what they hear and the rhythms and the little melodies that they're coming up with. And it's very humbling too.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about Jay Azzolina for a second.
Okay.
Okay, so Jay came to study in Boston, and he came over to visit us at the Parker House and see if he could work for us. And boy, we fell in love with Jay Azzolina. So great. He sang great, and he played the greatest guitar. He still does.
Yeah.
What a sweet guy he is.
Great
So-
player.
So
And
wonderful.
of course, did you know his wife?
Well, Jill,
Yeah.
I know that Jill was a dear friend of yours.
Correct.
And that's why I brought up Jay Azzolina.
Yeah.
We love Jay so much, but I know that you knew Jill and had a relationship with her. And
She was a great singer. And her mom, Selma, was a singer. And she might have played piano too. But she was really great. And of course, let's see, Jill's, I think it was her real dad. Was it her real dad? Do you remember who it was? It was a jazz person, jazz pianist, I'll have to look it up later.
yeah, I don't know.
I'll ask Leah. Jill's sister is still around. I forget his name. He was, you totally know his name. He's like
Well, you know,
days.
where did Jill grow up? Is Jill from here?
Winthrop.
Winthrop, okay. Wow. Yeah, it was heartbreaking to lose her.
Yeah, it was really
Okay.
heartbreaking. Yeah, but the three of us went to college together, you know, at Berkeley, and yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jill was my bud. Actually, she and her sister were both in the same group that Rebecca and I were in too. We were all in the Greater Bostonians, and then there was some other group that I can't remember. I think it was, it was less of a impressive group than the Greater Bostonians. But yeah, we were we were, yeah. And Jill and I got in a lot of trouble together. Those were the years. Those were the getting in trouble years.
Wolf trap.
There's
Wow.
there's so much, isn't there? There's like it's amazing.
There is so much. Did you ever run across Ray Peasy, the
Yeah,
saxophone player that worked for Henry Mancini?
absolutely. As a matter of fact, he just passed away.
He did. And you know, Ray used to play with our family band. Before
Oh,
he took off for, like you took off, he took off for LA, and he became a staple of Henry Mancini's. There's all the Mancini records. But we loved him.
he was a really cool guy.
He was great, great player.
Yeah, really
Great.
great. Um, yeah, I've talked to so many people about Berkeley too, all the players at Berkeley at that time. I mean, you guys knew them all and probably worked with a lot of them too, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, we worked with Herb Pomeroy and yeah, you name it. I mean, all just
Ray Santisi.
Ray Santisi, yeah.
We worked with a lot of them. We sure did. Yeah,
Yeah.
what a great institution, really. And some of the finest young musicians in the world come to Boston to study there.
And Bill worked with my dad. That's
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
because I
That-
hardly ever find people who worked with my dad or knew. You know who knew my dad? Jake Hanna.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, and Jake Hanna was a dear friend of my father's. And
Oh,
when I was out in LA, I was out there. My college girlfriend moved to LA, so
yeah.
I went to LA to visit, and we went up and down the coast. But then we went to all the jazz clubs, and we went to. That's how I got to Dante's. I heard Art Pepper
Oh,
at
yeah.
Dante, and then I went to a club which I have no idea what it was, but I heard the Frankie Cap
Big band.
big
Big band.
band,
Yeah.
Frank Nat Pierce. Yeah, and Dave Frischberg was playing piano that night,
Yep.
and
God,
Jake
that
Hanna
sounds. Was that in the mid 70s?
it was early '80s, I bet.
Oh, okay. Uh,
It-
yeah. I don't
I wonder
know.
what club
Early
that
80s.
was.
Well, was it at the beach?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
no, it was not near the beach.
Who knows? There was a bunch of clubs at that time that were really cool.
That night, Jake Hanna gave me a calfskin drum head because everybody uses plastic heads, but he was still using calfskin. Gave me a calfskin head because he loved my dad to take
Oh.
home, and he gave me a pair of brushes that he wrapped so they were soft on your hands, the handles.
Oh,
And he was so kind to me, and that's the night I met Dave Frischberg. And you know, he wrote that song about the baseball players, Van Lingo Mungo.
yeah, yeah.
It's just a stream of baseball players' names. And one
Yeah.
of the names was Eddie Basinski. These are obscure old baseball players. Some of the ones we know, but most are obscure. So I was in love with Dave Frischberg. So I went up to the bar where he was talking to some guys, and I whispered in his ear, "I'm Eddie Basinski from a one-horse town," because that was an original song of his, One Horse Town. So he turned right around, and we became friends.
That's great.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
Jake Hanna actually was, when I worked at Dante's, I was 21. And, I was already a jazzer coming from my dad. And, like you, I started working when I was like 12, And, so the guys at Dante's, I just totally felt comfortable with. But Jake Hanna was one guy who was especially kind to me. And he talked about my dad, which was, endearing. And The other guy who I just loved was Conti Condoli.
Oh,
Me too. God, he's my favorite white trumpet player. He moves me. I get goosebumps when I hear his solos. I love his sound. I wish he was still here, but I used to hear him a lot with the Terry Gibbs big band
Yeah,
and all those records, but he's on a million records. I loved his trumpet playing.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
he was great. And Frank Severino became a good friend of mine. He was kind of like became my dad or something, you know. He was really sweet and he was a great drummer. He was just such a great drummer.
He was.
Elegant,
He
beautiful.
was.
Yeah.
Jake was great too. He was a
Yeah,
great drummer.
wonderful. And you know who else was great and a ridiculously funny
Nick-
person was Nick Ceroli.
Yeah, Nick Ceroli was great. He went
Yeah.
with Herb Alpert.
Uh-huh.
He was on the Tijuana Brass records.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He made a lot of
I
money.
knew the other guys, yeah, like Pat Senator, the bass
Yeah.
player, and
Yeah,
Charlie Chiarenza. Yeah,
yeah,
those guys kind of, yeah, they made
Yeah,
kind of a little killing
yeah.
there.
yeah. John Pisano, did he go? Was he was with them too?
Yeah, he was, and he bought a beautiful home up in the hills in Studio City. I mean, those guys used their money smartly, you know.
Yeah. What about John Chiodini?
John's here. Yep.
Yeah, he was a friend of ours from here. And
He's a
he-
great
He
guitar
went out
player.
there. Yeah. He
Yeah.
ended up playing with Joe Pass. No, not Joe Pass. With my favorite drummer out there that just passed away. He played with Victor Feldman. Colin Bailey.
Oh yeah.
Ever run into Colin?
Oh yeah. I mean, he lived in San Francisco for the last, I
Yeah.
don't know, 30 years or so. He was an amazing player.
What a great drummer. One of my most
Yeah.
favorites.
He used to
Yeah.
have a group with Dave Mackay on piano and Andy Simpkins on
Yeah, what a
bass.
bass player too.
Yeah, when I first came out here, I thought that was what was going to be the standard of what I was going to hear. But they were actually the high level. They were,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember listening to Andy Simpkins and falling off my chair.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
so,
Andy Simpkins, well, he was like Ray Brown.
yeah, he was an amazing player. But Colin was the drummer and he was gorgeous, gorgeous
Yeah,
player. Did you
great
guys
player.
know of Dave Mackay too?
Yeah, I have albums by him. Yep,
And he, of course, he was in Boston.
yeah.
He cut his teeth in Boston. Yeah,
And what about Chuck Berghofer?
he's here.
Yeah, I know. I just saw him at Symphony Hall 2 years ago, last time we were there.
Oh, really?
And yeah, he came out to play. And he's one of the greatest bass players, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He's so great.
Yeah, he's still, out there humorous. Every now and then you see him playing. And actually, I should call him because he said he would be on the show. He's such a sweetheart, you know.
Well, he's the best. He's great. So I'd love to play one more video
Okay, good.
before
Which
we
one?
we can either do us in Washington or Bo with the ragtime. Bo toured the world for 20 something years. How many years?
25 years.
25 years with Gunther Schuller and the New England Conservatory Ragtime Ensemble. So there's a great concert from Wolf Trap.
Let's hear a little of that.
Okay. All right, let's find that one.
Yeah, I sent it out to you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can. Okay. Now you'll see all my, where are we? Okay. You'll see how I do things, which is,
And next time we come out, we're going to do a clinic in your house.
okay. Let's see. Oh, look, this is, I have a new book coming out. It's a very small little philosophy book called The Act of Becoming.
Wow, congratulations.
That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, it's actually kind of what we're talking about. I mean, everybody talks about this. I'm just another person, but it's how one lesson in life can apply to voice technique, and it can apply to singing jazz, or it could apply to playing golf or anything. That's what it's about. So,
I'd like to hear it.
yeah, let's see. Okay, I didn't find it there. I'm going to, oh, maybe I left it down here. You know, maybe I can just go find it in.
Oh, you know what? That's okay.
No,
You,
no,
you can play the Washington one if you, we'll play that. That's fine.
Okay. And anywhere in particular, or just the whole thing, or?
It's a short thing.
You can just let it
it's
roll.
It's just a little clip from from some of the songs, so you can just let it roll.
Okay. Oh, man. Wow, that was a big band.
Yeah, 21.
This goes jumping up and down.
That's me.
Oh, man, that was a long time ago.
93.
Go, Bill, go. And Bo. Oh, nice. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings back a lot of good memories.
Yeah, that's really great.
So that's pretty much that's the story. It's been a pretty it's been a good ride. I think Bill and I would say to you, we've been enjoying the ride. We've had our ups and downs,
Yeah.
just like everyone, but we're so grateful to still be doing what we love to do.
Yeah, it's really great. You guys, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm sure, as somebody said, the Winiker stories. Was it Louise? She
Yeah.
loves to hear the Winiker stories. It must. Have you guys ever thought about writing a book?
We've thought about it. Interestingly enough, my mother is the gatekeeper of
Oh,
all the stories. I mean, she
really?
remembers them all. Wow. I mean, just so many. I mean, they don't ever end. I mean, I can just think of 10 of them right now. 10, like playing in Newport for Rockefeller. What was his first name? His 75th birthday party down at the Breakers Hotel. That was his family home. And then we played at Henry Cabot Lodge's 50th wedding anniversary. It just goes on and on of these very special people. But I mean, every event, as I told you early in this conversation, whether it's at a nursing home or at the White House, it doesn't much matter. I mean, it's just, people say to me, what's your most important assignment? Of all the assignments you played, and I say, which one it is? It's the next one. That's the most important one. It's the only one that really means anything. The others are gone. I've done them, but it's the next opportunity to really show people how much fun we have and to, share some joy and happiness.
Yeah. Well, that's so true. And it's a lovely way to kind of end too. It's an uplifting and truthful kind of a thing. Yeah, you can always tell the truth, because truth just makes success and it makes happiness, So that's what you guys are doing so beautifully.
Well, I want to thank you for honoring our family in such a special way by giving us this format today to reach your audience and for us to share our message.
Wow,
It's been
my
really,
pleasure.
it's almost like like a life-changing experience. It really
Oh,
is.
well, it's my pleasure. And I don't know if you're doing this already, but you ought to like record your mom's stories
Yeah.
and talk about it, because
Well,
at some point, you're going to want to remember or write it down or, it's really a wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
we just have so many great, and as Bill told you, and I have told you, we never, these things just happened for us through the good graces of God.
Yeah.
That's what we would say. That's how they happened, just by listening to my dad. He said, if you want to build a business, just do a great job. He was a businessman. We were successful in spite of ourselves, because we put out good music all the time and people know we're wholesome and we're going to do everything humanly possible to make their event a success. And, interesting, we were brought up as jazz musicians, and that's what the true feeling is in our heart. But our career was in playing for the people, playing music that people could really appreciate and dance to and enjoy. And so we've really had the best of both possible worlds. We've had our jazz brunches and jazz performances, but we were raised to play at weddings and parties, and we love that too. I mean, some people might frown at that, but that's it's been a great life. And you know what? I'm so happy to meet you. Bill talks about you all the time. He never stops talking about you. He never misses one of your shows. And, you know, this is my really first experience with you, but it won't be my last.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm flattered. Bill keeps writing me these notes. Yep, I just heard blah 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 blah. That was a great show. Yeah, I'm losing weight because I'm listening to you on my walks.
That's right.
And he always texts me at weird hours of your mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because I'm a night owl, and
I
so-
guess so, but now I understand because your whole family played music into the wee hours of the night.
Right.
So
I can't get away from that schedule. That's, you know, I was raised that way.
It's funny. I wake up about 5 every morning, and Bill's pretty much
Yeah, I
just-
go to bed at that time.
So we're pretty much different. They say a life well lived is one where you can live it the way you want and what you would like to live it. And I know Bill lives his life the way he wants to, and I've been lucky enough to do the same thing. So, you know, we are just so very lucky. That's all I.
You know, I wanted to ask something. Let's see. I wanted to ask if you guys have families,
Yeah,
both of
Yep.
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
And so
yeah,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
curious how, you know, I know this might be a,
Well, you know, you're bringing up a good point, because so many musicians didn't make it. Musicians that work for us now, they because they played so much,
Yeah.
they got divorced. You know, you have to have an understanding spouse.
yeah. I was just wondering about that. I mean, obviously you grew up in a very interesting and ideal way. The whole family was involved, but you know, not all families do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I was married for 18 years. I'm not married now, but I have two wonderful children. I have a physician who's doing his residency in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Ah.
And my daughter is she is in Baltimore. Where is she studying?
John Hopkins.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins.
Oh,
She's
wow.
doing her PhD in psychology. So the two of them are really wonderful. Good
Oh,
parts. Good,
Yeah. Yeah, Bo's son just likes to give back to the world. He's an amazing young man. Tell about the hospital that he in Nepal.
After college, Kim traveled through Southeast Asia, and actually he was trekking in the Himalayas around the time of the earthquake about 5 years or so ago, and he went back into Nepal, and he volunteered with the International Red Cross.
oh, wow.
And he worked with them for a number of months, and they liked him so much that they said, "We're now going to hire you." And so he started making money every week, and he ended up raising $23,000, and he had a school rebuilt in Nepal
Wow.
that for the students that lost their school, and it was quite remarkable. I couldn't go, but his mother and Kim went back, and they named the school after him.
Oh.
And so he has a lot of compassion. He used to come to Rotary meetings with me. They were at Legal Seafood in Chestnut Hill, Mass, and he used to like those chocolate profiteroles. He used to go around everybody who didn't eat theirs and eat them for them. But I also learned about doing good deeds too. So you know, I'm very proud of my children and Bill.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, that where Kim built the school, the women had to go like in the 1500s or 1600s and walk a mile to get water from the one well that the town had. And Kim raised enough money so they could put in pipes and bring water into the town.
Yeah, that's
didn't
right. They put a
Wow.
they put a waterifying period system in, and yes, this could have never come in under budget in the United States. It would, but he came in with money to spare, so he was able to put in a water purifying system so they could have water at the school.
That's
No.
gorgeous. Actually, I contribute to Charity Water monthly, and that's what they do. They go around the world bringing clean water into areas like that where the people would normally have to walk miles and miles for not good water, you know.
Well, my son
Really?
loves to travel.
Beautiful.
So he just came back from a week in Tunisia.
Oh, wow.
He'll go to the most far off places and just
Wow.
loves it. As a matter of fact, he had a reunion with his people from the International Red Cross. They all got together,
Oh,
about 7 or 8 of them. So,
oh, that's lovely.
you know, they very proud of those two. And
You guys have a great heritage.
well, you know, I'll say one more thing about relationships. They're you got to put a lot of work into them. They're not easy, but they're well worth it.
Yeah,
It
when
is worth it.
the next time we talk, I want to tell you the Diana Krall story.
Okay.
Very interesting story about Diana, but we're out of time today, but we got a great story for that.
But again,
But we're going to see you because you're coming back east.
Yes, I am.
So you'll let us know.
And Coolidge Corner, easy.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And then we're going to take you to Meredith's house. That's her dream.
That's what's happening, man. I can't wait.
She's going to make lunch for all of us. She's a great cook.
That's great. I'm
You
ready.
You better practice your ping pong. You can't get into the house unless you
No.
have a match of ping pong.
No, we'll play a little.
Do you guys play?
I play a little. Yeah,
I haven't played for a long time, but I used to be okay.
yeah.
You know,
Well, then you'll be
But
fine.
I'm not like, super high quality, but
That's good enough.
Well, listen, thank you for the pleasure of your company today.
thank you so much, you guys. You're really fun. It was so great. And tomorrow I'll just say I'm going to have a bass player on who's a musical director and a composer. He's a really interesting guy, really great musician. He's the kind of bass player you ask to turn up.
Wow.
He's really good. Like when he's playing electric. But his name is Kevin O'Neill. He's from LA. And Thursday through Sunday, I'll have the archives. And anybody who wants to know who's on can always go to my website and check that out. But thank you guys so much, Bill and Bo Winiker. And it's been really fun. And I'm looking forward to having more conversations.
Well, listen, we loved every second of it. You have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
See you.
I'll be walking to you tonight.
Listening to you.
Oh, no, then I'll have to listen to one of the other shows.
Okay.
Maybe I will listen. It's good to hear it back. Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.